selections. Red flags for a draft prospect come in many shades of red. OSU cornerback Arian Conley fell to pick number 24 after reports of an investigation for rape allegations that he strongly denies. The Bengals drafted Joe Mixon, who was suspended at Oklahoma for a year after punching a woman. Prospects like Jordan Lewis, Florida defensive tackle Caleb Brantley were more talented than their draft spot due to off-field concerns as well. All right, Adam, you shared during the draft and after Joe Mixon was selected that only 4 teams had him on the board actually going into the draft. And then Mixon was asked very little about football in his initial time with the media in Cincinnati. How would you manage the message going forward?
Listen, I think that when the Bengals took him, they had to know everything that was going to come along with him. They had to be able to provide a support staff. They have to be able to provide ideas for him and them, how to handle this situation. They've been through the snuff. If you look at that team and all the players that they've gambled on in the past and had it, by and large, work out for them. Adam Jones, Vontaze Burfict. We could go on with more and more names. But, yes, 28 teams either had him off the board or weren't going to draft him. There were 4 that were seriously considering him. He went to one of the places that was on that list, clearly with the second pick, or second-round draft pick there.
And, Lewis, the organization made it clear. That was it. He addressed it. They don't want to address it going forward.
Yeah, I think.
How do you adhere to that?
Yeah, it'll be tough because there will be reporters who want to continuously ask him about it and ask him about his decision-making process and how he can ensure the Cincinnati Bengals, the fans of Cincinnati, and the fans of the National Football League at large that you're a changed person, that you're someone who won't make those kind of choices anymore. And all the Bengals can do, really, I mean, when you talk about how do they manage the message here and how do they manage the situation, one of the ways they can manage it is actively helping Joe Mixon make sure he's making the right decisions and support him off the football field, because right now, look, there's nothing he can do to change the past. They've made their decision. He's on their football team. Now, just like with any other draft pick, as far as you developing them once you get them under your roof, that's what they're charged with now. That's what they've accepted right now. So that's what they better do. Because otherwise, look, all of us are just, well, no, I shouldn't say all of us. There will be plenty of people that are waiting for him to slip up again. That's just the nature of what happens when you commit these kind of transgressions. That's just what you
Will he be embraced in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a decision that many people in that locker room will look at and see it as the disgusting act that it was. And they will understand that. But it's also the most forgiving place I've ever been in my life. It's a place where you understand people make mistakes, you understand people put themselves in bad decisions, and you try to give them a chance to move on. And that's what'll happen. Hopefully, there will be veterans in there that embrace the process Lou was talking about. That it won't just be the team saying, hey, you need to do this, or the team delegating these things for him to do, but veterans taking them under their wings and saying, hey, listen, this is the way you have to conduct yourself. These are the places you have to put yourselves in. These are the things that you have to do to move on and be better. I also don't think this is something that needs to be addressed consistently and constantly throughout his career. Give him an opportunity to move on from it, not only in his actions and the way that he conducts himself, but also in the way that you let him live his life.
If you're the Bengals, all you have to do is call the Kansas City Chiefs and ask how they handled the situation with Tyreek Hill last year. Because they did a great job of managing that situation, exposing him a limited amount, bringing him along and helping him grow as a young man and having him shine.
I think the situations are different, though.
I would say this. You brought up the locker room, Susie. The truth is, the locker room literally might be the most forgiving place on the planet. I mean, you have a wide collection of guys from different backgrounds, and they are very accepting of one another. One of the areas, and Lou alluded to it, that's really not that forgiving is local media. I mean, and so I think that in terms of how you handle it, it's about how you handle the local media that is telling your fan base, you shouldn't cheer for this guy. You should cheer for Tyreek Hill. I think that's as much of a problem for the team, and probably more so than the actual locker room.
And you know what? The fact of the matter is the difference with the Tyreek Hill situation is, although Kansas City did handle it great, I get it. Number one is where they were drafted, and number two, the local media can just go like this. We have this. Look at
That's the hard part.
And see, with Tyreek, it's kind of like it's left to your imagination, and the local media can just go, hey, here you go. This is what we're talking about. Address it. Even though you want to keep it on the background, you just can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that you don't want to address it all day long, but you cannot stop people from asking, and that's the difference.
Wait, Wendy, 1 second, because our producers are telling us that WCPO, the local affiliate, has asked people to boycott if he is on the
The
field.
local media.
That's,
You're making a
and
great
they
point.
cannot control that part. You know, you
Right.
can only control your part of the narrative.
And Tyreek Hill, by the way, was a fifth-round pick who nobody necessarily thought was a guaranteed draft choice. So he wasn't discussed. There was nothing discussed about Tyreek Hill leading up to the
Until it
draft.
happened.
And once he was drafted, it was kind of a surprise. Then everybody went back to what he did, but no video. Joe Mixon had been discussed for months and months leading up to the
video
draft,
changes
speculating
everything,
on where he would go. Tyreek Hill, nobody talked about.
Well, here's something else that couldn't be talked about as a big lead-up is cornerback Garyon Conley, who the Raiders took, because that's something that developed again right around draft time. Is there more happening with this right now?
He's meeting today with investigators. He's going to provide a DNA sample. He's going to provide them a statement, and we'll see where the case goes from that point on. But he's going to do his part to cooperate with authorities. I was told Thursday night during the opening round of the draft, there were 3 witnesses at the time with him. 2 men and 1 woman, and police were questioning the woman involved that night. She was giving a statement to police, which I think will be defending Garyon Conley, and we'll see where this all turns out.
That's one of 3 players that have cases and legal issues coming up. Caleb Brantley is another one coming out of Florida, and Jordan Lewis, the cornerback from Michigan, went to the Dallas Cowboys. So there are 3 players still with open legal situations.
We talked about this, Todd, the few days before the draft. Did it seem like we had more of this time around, or is that just, do we say that
It
every
seemed like
year?
it, and I think in part because it was a lot of high players and the late breaking news of the Caleb Brantley and then Conley right after Brantley. And these are guys we were talking about in the first 2 rounds of the draft, and Jordan Lewis was another one. So I think that combined with a lot of injuries, too, with top players this
And the
year.
Peppers Foster, and that came into the mix
Right.
late in the
With the
process as well, affecting, we
diluted
thought,
samples.
their draft position. It did. Look where Reuben Foster dropped to.
And more coverage and scrutiny than ever before. It increases every year.
No question, and that's not going to stop.
Look, and there's no doubt if you're the general manager or the decision maker, in these kinds of decisions, you better be right. I mean, that's given with any pick, but in this case, you better be right. But you're not alone on an island, because with a lot of these, ownership had to have played a big part in the decision. So you're
Especially
all
if the owner's picking the player.
you are all